We are finally here, dude. We made it happen, man. I think I've been trying to get you on the show for an interview for like months now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it's finally happened. I tried to track. I was just scrolling through Instagram, kind of going through your profile, and your stories has you in like multiple places. Like you're kind of like the Flash. Like you can be everywhere at once. Like I think you were at Black Sheep one day, like Trailer Park Restaurant in Nocatee the other day, Grassroots, the new Arepa spot up the street. You were just at Pine Grove today. Like I'm kind of. I think you might have like a superpower of time travel because you could just be in multiple locations at once in different times. Is that like a normal day for you to be in all these places at once?
Yeah, like I don't know. I just try to be everywhere. But let's see what today was like. I don't even remember.
So I imagine your calendar, like you live by your calendar, huh?
Yeah, I do. I use Google Calendar and it like saves my life because I have a 40-minute like reminder and then a 20-minute before.
Yo, the project manager in me is really hyped because I get a chance to like send other people like Google Calendar. It's normally like, yo, just remind me, shoot me a reminder, but you are very formal about it, and I respect that. What's a normal day for you like? Is what I saw like a pretty standard day where you're hitting up all these different restaurants, or do you normally have like an itinerary, or Tuesdays is Mojo's day, or how does it go?
No, like I try to start every day at Bull Bean, San Marco. I live across the street, like near Taverna.
Mm-hmm.
So, like if I'm at home, I'm gonna slack. So I'm gonna I'm gonna hit the fridge. If I get close to the couch, I'm gonna watch TV. If I'm close to the bed, I'm gonna lay down.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go somewhere to work, and like that's where I'm most successful. And when I drink that coffee and I just get in the zone over there, it's like it's a wrap.
I truly believe that you probably visit more restaurants in a day than some people who have lived here their entire lives. I definitely commend your ability to just be around the city at all times. I was listening to your Jax is Rad podcast, and you had made two comments that kind of stood out, amongst a lot of other things, but you said one of the benefits of being here in Jax is that most people don't understand like how bad traffic truly is in bigger cities. And how for you it's a blessing because the traffic here isn't so rough that you can actually make it to these different areas.
Yeah, and I'm really strategic with that. So like if I have a meeting at the beach, I try to do it like around 1, 2, and 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then I need to leave by like 3:40 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I really try to avoid traffic.
No.
Like I'm not gonna be in Avondale around 5. Like once like if I mess up, like I try to make sure that shit never happens again.
Oh, I look, man. Between 4 and like 6, it's like, yo, don't ask me to be anywhere. Let's wait till the traffic dies down, and then I'll be there. Because that is the beauty of Jax. No matter as bad as we think traffic is, it's really not as bad as Atlanta or LA and stuff like that. But Nate, in case we have any listeners who are not familiar with you, which I think it would have to be like the out-of-town listeners, because your name in Jax is definitely a staple when it comes to just anything food-related. But we have this thing on the show for our first-time guest joining the show. We ask them these two particular questions, and it sets up kind of a stage for our listeners to kind of know who you are, because it could be anyone's first time tuning in, and then they see Nate does food, who's this guy? So I gotta ask, man, for our listeners out there, who are you, and why should they care?
So it's exactly like my name. I do food. So the main thing I do is social media for local restaurants, and then I have my Instagram is Nate Does Food. So I pretty much cover all local food that I love, and I just showcase it by doing pictures and video, and then I do. Yeah, I mean that's really it. I just take pictures of food and promote it.
I think you're being like too humble, because I went on your site and I typed your name into Google and doing some research, and the amount of work that you have to do, and I imagine, do you have a team, or is Nate Does Food just strictly kind of you?
No, I have 4 interns now.
Oh, damn. Nice. I need to get up on this intern train. I gotta get my intern game up. But you're a social media manager for 10 plus local restaurants. Stop me if I'm wrong at any point. You're a food writer for Jack Magazine and EU Jacksonville.
Well, Jack Magazine didn't make it, but I still write for EU.
Okay, word. You do the photography, the videography, and you also host, I've only seen these in pictures and rumors, but these extravagant multi-course private dinners. I mean, how do you juggle all this? I imagine that's why you have to have for interns, but
yeah, I mean, like it's definitely much easier now, but I don't know. Everything just kind of, I don't know. It just kind of happened. Like when I went to culinary school for a little bit, FSCJ.
So you can cook.
A little bit. I don't like to. I like
you dabble. You dabble.
Yeah.
I said something. Okay.
So when I was in culinary school, you introduce yourself. No one had eaten at Orsay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw Hero Dreams of Sushi on Netflix, he said that how can you cook great food if you don't know what it tastes like?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to motivate my class. So I told my teacher, let's do a fundraiser and we'll come back for dinner at Orsay. So I hit up all these places like Moe's and stuff. They're like, well, we'll give you 10%. I was like, that's nothing. So I knew that Orsay had FSCJ graduates.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it would mean more to them if I asked them. So we did a brunch and 40% of the sales went to our class. So then we came back for an 8-course dinner, and it just blew my mind because the chef came out. They had like this special menu
Mm-hmm.
printed out, and so I learned how to do events through that. And then culinary school, it didn't really work out. And when I started working at a restaurant, I was working a lot. It was like slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at my Instagram, that I like to go out a lot. So
The schedule probably wasn't.
yeah, the schedule, it didn't work out, and I was like, I was like begging. I was like, I'm about to go to Vegas, and then all these events would come up, and I'm like, shit, this isn't gonna work.
Mm.
I had a knot in my back like the size of a tennis ball.
Damn.
And I'm like, what do you mean we don't get breaks? Like we're working like slaves, and I'm like going to the bathroom to squat.
Yo, look, I cater. I used to cater, and that was some gruesome work. Like I'd be hiding like the corners of like buildings. Let me just bend my knees. I just want to bend my knees for a little bit.
Yeah, a 5-minute break
Oh, it ain't
would be
nothing.
game changing. If they would just let you take that,
Mhm.
you would be like so much better worker.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
So do you view like the restaurant industry a little different being on the outside? Like do you still kind of see those pain points?
Oh yeah, like every time I go to a restaurant, especially when there's an open kitchen, I always look at it like that could have been me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So when I realized that didn't work out at the restaurant, I was like, give me a 9 to 5.
Mhm.
I'll work 9 to 5 and I'll do events at night.
Yeah.
So my friend worked at Merrill Lynch. I hit her up. I got the job, and then I worked at Merrill Lynch, and then did food at night,
Mhm.
and then.
When you say you did food at night, was it still the restaurant or did these?
No,
events?
just like events
Okay.
and stuff with Yelp and
Okay.
just local stuff. And now it's like 4 years later.
Hmm.
So it just kind of evolved.
Okay. Well, one of the first, one of my first exposures to you was you had posted it was like this kind of 4-page Instagram post, and it was about like the path you took to doing this full time, to doing your hustle full time, and it was you had said that you were getting tired of the 9 to 5 life, you were tired of answering to a boss, you had a passion you wanted to pursue. And it was really inspirational, man. If I could find, I'll try to repost it on our page. But essentially, you were saying that you decided to commit. You started working at Merrill Lynch part-time, did your full-time job afterwards, and then eventually you transitioned. Can you talk a little more detail about that transition?
Well, I worked at Merrill Lynch for like 3 years, and I was getting promoted every